Hello crafty friends, I'm Lynn from Studio Kato and I'm so happy you're joining me again today for another video. Today I am celebrating the latest release by Jane's Doodles. I'm a little late uploading this video, but I really love this Happy Days stamp set. There was also a flower stamp set released, so check it out. I will leave the link to the Jane's Doodles store in the description below. So I'm making a shaker card today. I haven't made one in a while, but I love a shaker card. Anyone loves a shaker card, right? And this one was really simple to make as well. So I'm taking this mouse and the balloon, which I don't end up using, but I stamped it anyway. This is from the Happy Day stamp set by Jane's Doodles, and I stamped it in alcohol marker friendly ink. This was probably Memento Tuxedo black ink. I'm not sure anymore because I made this a while ago. And I'm just coloring this image in with my alcohol markers. I'm keeping the coloring fairly simple. I am only using a couple of colors because I know that my sun is going to be very, very bold, which is going to be my shaker part. And I don't want to take away from that with this mouse. So I'm keeping these colors fairly muted. And this is going to be a really nice contrast with the bright sun. Now, after stamping these images, I did leave my stamps in my Misti because I want to stamp them again in Versafine Onyx Black later, so I can emboss these outlines. I really like an embossed outline, but you can't color over embossing. That will ruin your markers and ruin the embossing powder, so what's the point? I just take a little extra minute to do this extra step, and that gives me a fun glossy outline in the end with bold coloring from the alcohol markers. Now, like I said, I didn't end up using the balloon, but I'm keeping the coloring part in because why not? If I had used it, I wouldn't have wanted it to be the same color as something else in the card. And the only color that was appropriate was the blue because the yellow was going to be the sun and it wouldn't contrast nicely with the balloon on top of the sun. Yada yada, it was a whole thing. I thought about it, but then I didn't end up using the balloon. I really liked how I colored the terracotta pot actually. It was a color combination I hadn't used before, but it turned out really nicely. I really want to use it on a bigger vase someday. I don't have a lot of vase stamps, but maybe someday I will. I'm adding some muted greens for the plant, and this is going to be not a welcome home card, but a congratulations on your new home card. So I really thought the plant was appropriate, and the balloon ended up not being that appropriate. So yes, that's what I colored. That's it. I always have trouble filling up the void of the coloring with a voiceover, but yeah, I have to talk over it somehow. I put these images back in my Misti in the same spot, and then I can just stamp it again with Versafine Onyx Black, and that will leave me with a really, really crisp black outline, but I do want to add that embossing powder. So I'm adding Wow Clear Gloss Super Fine Embossing Powder, and I'm going to heat set that once I'm happy that everything is nicely covered in the powder. Like I said, it is an extra step, but I think it's totally worth it. I embossed everything. I still think it's magical, and the embossing powders by Wow especially are just wonderful. Then I am going to use this Big Sun die by Reverse Confetti, and I die cut that once from yellow cardstock and a lot of times out of thick white cardstock to layer behind it. But I did want to add a little bit more dimension to the sun, so I am going to ink blend some orange ink on the inner part of the sun rays with a blending brush on my blending mat, which is just a laminated sheet of white cardstock. Now, like I said, I die cut a bunch of more suns from white cardstock, and I'm layering all of this together with Barely Art Precision Craft Glue. So I'm just layering the suns together, and I die cut 6 of them, I'm seeing now. So yeah, it took me a little while, but it was a lot quicker than I thought it would be. It's not, the sun looks more detailed than it is. It's really easy to add glue to, and it's not super hard to line up or anything. So it's really easy to create that shaker frame. Now with all my parts ready, all that's left to do is assemble, and I wanted to break up my white background. So the easiest way to do that is to cut a separate piece of white cardstock with, usually I do this with a stitched detail die, so I have a really subtle frame all around the edge there, and that's still a white background, right? But it's just a little bit broken up, and it's not as plain anymore. And I adhered the white sun on top of that. Then I inlaid the yellow part of the sun for the center of the sun, and that's where I put the sequins. So I used a couple of gold sequins and then some gold confetti by Studio Katia. Just laid all of that in there, and then it's time for adding my window. So I just cut a circle, a rough circle out of acetate. It's pretty much invisible in the video, but there is acetate there. That's what I layered on then. I used Nouveau Deluxe adhesive for that part because it deals a lot better with slick surfaces. And that's also what I'm using on this last sun. This is the yellow sun. The other side of this paper is just green. I don't know why. I have a bunch of this paper left, and it's a gorgeous yellow and a gorgeous green, so I use it a lot. Yeah, that finishes up my shaker and my sun, and all that's left to do is add the critter and a sentiment. So I'm adding the critter with some foam tape. This is a very bulky card. I definitely need double postage for this, but it's totally worth it. I used this Yay sentiment because it's really small and I didn't have a lot of space left. I used this Yay sentiment by Pinkfresh Studio. It's from their Perfect Sentiments stamp and die set. It stamps and die cuts 10 sentiments all at once, so I have a bunch of these all ready to go. Now I took more of that gold confetti by Studio Katia, and I just added a couple of those around the shaker to add a little bit more bling. And that's it for the card. I am going to add an envelope. I'm using some patterned paper for that, and my We Are Memory Keepers 123 punch board, which is probably the tool I use the most in my craft room. I have been using it so much this past year, and the first couple of years after I bought it, I didn't use it at all, so I'm very happy that it's seeing some use. The inside of this yellow patterned paper happens to have some cacti on it, so it's perfect to go with this plant themed card, and I know the recipient is going to like that. There you can see it shake. The sequins move very freely because I added so many white die cuts on top of each other, so there's plenty of room for them to move around and shake things up. I really love a shaker card, and I haven't made one in such a long time. It was high time I made a new one. I hope you like this card. I really like it, and I hope you like this video. I also hope you check out the new release by Jane's Doodles. It's such a fun company. I am very blessed to design for them, and I really love all her stamp sets. I am such a big fan, and I hope you check them out and maybe order something for yourself. Just treat yourself. I don't have any affiliate links for this store. I don't get anything out of this. I just love working with their stamp sets, so I hope you check them out for yourself. I really think you're going to love their stamps. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.